Welcome. Sorry we had a little bit of technical difficulty and we're back a little bit late. Had to mess with the internet. Gotta love it. Gotta love modern conveniences like the internet. We got a lot of stuff left on today's docket. Mark Freeman, Weldon Braxton, Matty Lassiter. I about choked on my words there. Here in the Cogswell Motors studios. Talked a little bit about soccer. Talked a little bit about whether or not the World Cup has made you any more interested in soccer. And I've got a resounding... Now, this is my friends, so I can't really take this as being America, the voice of America. But no, people aren't interested in soccer. I had one person, should I quote him? Yeah. Coach Tony Davis, Clarksville Panthers basketball coach. I asked if it's made him more interested in soccer. He said, "What's soccer?" And then my friend Kyle Hudson, I graduated high school with, he said, "Soccer is organized keep away." So, yeah, that's what a lot of folks are thinking. And I know there are some folks, Weldon, who will think we are not cultured and we're just, we're something wrong with us because we don't like soccer. But as I was talking to Dave in the break, I like to see scoring in whatever sport it is. I don't like a 75-65 NBA playoff game or NBA basketball game. I don't like a 0-0 baseball, football, insert any sport title here, game. I like to see exciting scoring points, and soccer just doesn't sort of do that for me.
Well, look, first of all, look, I subscribe to the idea that everybody's grown. We can like what we want to like, and if we don't like something, that's fine. These people talking about, you have to like soccer because it's the world's game. It's evolved. Boo-hoo. I feel like I'm as evolved as anybody, and I really don't have to like soccer. But I will say this: it is not interesting to me from the standpoint of, I have to watch a soccer game, every night now, or I can't. Like you watch the Korea and who were they playing, Russia? Like I can't. I'm not to the point where I'm watching any other game outside the United States. And even with that, as I said in the first segment, I'm not watching it if I'm in the middle of it. I watch that game start to finish. I got a feel for it, the ebbs and the flows, and there's a degree of excitement to me. As far as what I enjoy, as far as the way a sport is played, not just soccer is. Are there good plays being made? Are teams executing? That's what I look for. And there's execution on both sides of it. If a team's scoring a lot of points, that's not necessarily great execution both ways. It could be a product of poor defense. Just the same, if it's a 0-0 game, that doesn't mean the defensive side of it is executing greatly. That just, means, it could be some bad offensive play. So I'm looking play after play, the execution, the quality of play. Are plays being made because of good offense or good defense, or is it just sloppiness on each side? And that, to me, dictates, very good play as far as a basketball and a football standpoint. Soccer, I'm not well-versed enough to sit up here and say that, okay, well, this team was 0-0. It was a sloppily played game, or, boy, it was a beautifully played game. You hear some people in a 0-0 match, Mark, say, what a beautifully played game. The defenders went to the right position. The strikers got a lot of shots on goal, but they couldn't get it in. Then I've seen some 5-4 games where, they were so sloppy. Defenders were out of position all night, give up 4-5. And I understand that, even though I'm not well-versed in soccer.
Yeah, it just doesn't interest me if they're not scoring. So I don't care if they're out of position or in position or what. Just score some goals. Speaking of goals, the Netherlands scored 20 minutes into their game against Australia. It's 1-0. And then immediately afterward, in the 21st minute, Australia responds immediately. Yeah, that's the kind of soccer you like to watch right there. If they score every other minute, take away the goalie, man. Just make this basketball on grass. 60-54 backyard soccer game, huh? That would be, oh my gosh, people would roll over in their graves if they saw that. All right, we've got plenty of stuff left in the wire that we'll save for later on in this in the show, but we've got to look at the NBA mock draft. They're on their third mock draft. Mark Spears from Yahoo Sports has done a few of them. And it looks like, I think you were saying Joel Embiid was going to go number 1, right? Isn't that what you said before?
No.
Who did you say was going to go number 1?
I don't know if I gave a definitive. I believe Wiggins. I'll just go.
I thought Wiggins would be the one. Well, this is the third mock draft, and they're saying that assuming there are no serious back issues, which is a big thing to assume. Assuming Greg Oden's not going to be hurt his entire career. Well, guess what? One NBA scout says Embiid has a chance to be a franchise superstar. So does everyone in the NBA draft. They're all being drafted because they have potential to be good. That's stupid to me. He was picked here in this mock draft, number 1 to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Milwaukee at number 2 drafts Jabari Parker, and Philadelphia at number 3 drafts Andrew Wiggins. We're going to go through this draft, but I wondered if you had any thoughts about those first 3.
Well, I think you look at all 3 of them, there's a lot of plus. I think we can agree, these are the top 3. I know there's some guys trying to get into that mix, but I don't really see those 3 getting outside the top 3. And so when you look at Embiid, obviously it is the back. From a prospect standpoint, he's sensational. He's got long arms. He hasn't played the game that long, and he's already shown offensive touch. And we've seen these, big players, they come over and they learn the game, and defensively they adjust right away, but the offense is what's lacking. Embiid's showing offense early is what's really promising about him, but you cannot ignore that back. Number 1 pick, big men history, when they have lingering issues, it's just hard to risk. You look at a Jabari Parker, people like to knock his ceiling. He looks like, in the NBA, from an athleticism standpoint, can he get his weight under control? Can he get his body ready to where he can defend the 3 position, or is he going to have to be a new age 4? Because this guy was pushing about 240 at some points during the year.
They've got him listed at 241.
That's just too big if you're going to try to be an NBA 3 in today's game. Now, if you don't try to play a 4, I don't know if he can bang like he needs to. Even though the game is smaller today, still that's asking a lot for him to go in and be an NBA 4. So that's the concern with him, along with his lower upside compared to an Andrew Wiggins. And the thing with an Andrew Wiggins is, what are you expecting when you draft him? Are you expecting he's going to be a top 3 player in the NBA within the next 5 to 6 years? Or are you okay with him if he's only a top 8 to 12 player? Because I think that's something you have to weigh out. The athletic upside is there. You question the mentality. Does he have that hungry dog in him to take over? Is that something we'll see from him? So there's questions there. I'd probably go with Andrew Wiggins if I had to choose between the 3.
I'm the same way because I feel like he's the safest of them. Although I know people you don't want to go for the safe pick. You want to go for the one who you think will be the best player. They just feel like Joel Embiid has a higher ceiling, like you mentioned with Jabari Parker. That I like Jabari Parker. As far as players that I like to watch this last year, Jabari Parker was my favorite of those 3 to watch.
Yeah.
Andrew Wiggins, I just feel like has that potential to be just ridiculously good, when Joel Embiid has the potential to be hurt and Jabari Parker has the potential to get fat. That's just the way I see those top 3 picks. If either one of them could work out to be pretty good.
Yeah. Would you say, though, because I remember we came in here, I think it was the night after that showcase in Chicago. You remember Duke, Kansas, Kentucky, Michigan State.
Yeah.
And I think we kind of agreed Jabari Parker looked to be the guy. I feel like that was the peak. That was the peak for him this past season, was that showcase early in the year. I watched him a few more times, and he always had some good scoring games, but I didn't like him as much as I liked him. He seemed leaner. Remember, this dude got up and put down a beautiful dunk. He showed athleticism we didn't think he had. Now, getting to that ACC tournament, the NCAA tournament, he looked a little bit heavy. He looked like he got a little bit winded. Still think he's going to be a really good player. Right now, I would say he's a better player than Andrew Wiggins, but long term, obviously, Wiggins has a chance to be better.
Some other picks, Orlando gets a point guard, Dante Exum, a lot of talk from Australia. We don't know much about him, but he's apparently supposed to be really, really good.
He played in the Olympics. I believe in him.
Noah Vonleh goes 5 to the Jazz. Aaron Gordon 6 to the Celtics. I'm not a big fan of his, but the Celtics apparently love him. Julius Randle goes 7 to the Lakers. Heard a lot of good stuff about those two liking one another, the Lakers and Julius Randle. Marcus Smart to the Kings at 8. The Charlotte Hornets get, and that sounds good, man. Doesn't that just sound good to say? The Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah. Where's Zoe?
Get Doug McDermott. Yeah, where's Muggsy?
Yeah.
And Grandma Ma. Charlotte Hornets get Doug McDermott at number 9 from Creighton. Philadelphia, their second pick in the draft, which is number 10, get Dario Saric from Croatia. And then moving on down, a couple other interesting picks. The Magic at 12, their second pick of the first round, James Young. Nick Stauskas goes to Phoenix at 14. Let's see a couple other ones that are interesting. Bulls get Rodney Hood from Duke at 19. Oklahoma City at number 21 gets T.J. Warren, a scorer from North Carolina State. Memphis at 22, P.J. Hairston, who is obviously he was in the D-League this last year. He's a North Carolina guy, but he has to go into the draft. I didn't realize that D-League guys had to go into the draft, but you made the point that since he was never in the draft
right,
and he came straight to the D-League after being ineligible in college, he is draft eligible.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a rule that's not really talked about because it's unusual situations. Almost like in the NFL, you don't see the supplemental draft used
makes me remind it.
quite a bit. So yeah, you'll see that. One guy who's interesting to me. First of all, this is a pretty good point guard draft. Obviously Marcus Smart will be the first point guard coming off the board. But let's say you had multiple first-round picks and you liked Marcus Smart, but you didn't love him. You could still drop down and get you a Tyler Ennis, who is a very good offensive point guard. Elfrid Payton, I think he has every chance to be the next Rondo. I mean, we saw him when they played against the University of Arkansas. This dude has long arms. He's about 6'3". He will defend from day one. He is lightning quick. Obviously, Shabazz Napier did a lot for his stock. So I'm interested to see the point guards in this draft. Even Jordan Clarkson. Jordan Clarkson's a 6'5", raw piece of material that somebody late in the first round is going to have an opportunity to get. So I'm looking at the point guards in this draft as well.
So these teams are going to work to build their roster. They're going to work to build a championship team. And speaking of championship teams, we had two in the NBA Finals that just ended. Would have been Game 6 last night, I guess,
if
it weren't for Game 5 being the last game of the series. So we've got a lot of discussion going on about the future of both of these teams. San Antonio, a lot of talk now from Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, about how they think that they're going to come back and play at least one more year with Tim Duncan and with Greg Popovich and with the entire core intact. And then the Miami Heat, what's going to happen for the big three? They all have player options. They can pick up their contract and get $20 million, or they can say, you know what, I want to opt out of this contract, try to either get more money elsewhere or help the team by taking less money in a new reworked contract. And it's a big discussion right now. It's a big decision for these three guys in Miami and also San Antonio. Then the question, though, becomes if San Antonio comes back as is, Miami understands they can't stand pat and beat San Antonio.
Right.
What do the Miami Heat do? Also, how do you beat the San Antonio Spurs?
Yeah, first of all, they all have to, I guess, technically opt out. Just because, if you opt in, you're taking the $20 million. You don't take up $60 million. So they have to do that. There's no way you can take up $61 million of a roughly $65 million cap. I mean, that just can't happen. So we talked about LeBron and what he might do as far as being a free agent. It's not going to be a big deal to me if he technically opts out. To me, that's nothing to scare anybody. That shouldn't, obviously he understands he can't make $20 million. And, of course, if he can't, the others certainly need to understand they can't make anywhere near $20 million. Again, you're talking about a cap that's roughly $65 million. Those three alone would be making $61. So, when they restructure, I don't know how much less money they'll take. But this team, if you talk about matching up with San Antonio, there's a couple of things. They need a legitimate big man, not Birdman's energy for 15 minutes. I'm talking about a rock, 6'11", 7 foot, rim protector, shot blocker, presence inside.
Sounds like a Greg Oden was supposed to be. I don't
what
know
team
what
is he
in the
on?
world. I don't know what in the world is going on with him. If he's not healthy, then they don't have any reason to have him. And they had him active at the end of the finals.
Yeah.
So he's healthy enough. If you don't trust him, I know they're paying him the veteran minimum, but if you don't trust him, why have him on the team? They're going to have to get bigger contributions. Garrett Hill made this point the other day from Michael Beasley and from Greg Oden to have a chance to win next year. I want to see Greg Oden play. If he's going to get hurt, well, then what? You've already got him on the bench. He's not doing anything anyway. $800,000 a year is very, very cheap for a guy like him to come in and bang. You're going to have to get some more from him. You need the scoring and the help to take some pressure off LeBron James that Michael Beasley can add. I think those two pieces are there. They need a point guard for sure. They're going to have to get rid of Mario Chalmers. That's $4 million right there that they'll have an option with. I think Norris Cole can help. A lot of talk about Kyle Lowry. I would love to see that happen, but he would have to take a discount, and the big three would obviously have to take a hometown discount to make that possible. But I'd love to see something like that happen.
I mean,
Trevor Ariza, remember when I mentioned him?
Yeah, Trevor Ariza would be a good fit. I think Trevor Ariza's at a point in his career where he's had. It wasn't a huge deal, but he made his prime money. He got his prime contract early in his career. He's at a point to where he would be open to, I want to win another championship. Remember, he did help the Lakers win one in 2009. He may want to, win another one as far as a veteran discount is concerned. Kyle Lowry, I just have a hard time. To me, Kyle Lowry, definitely one of the top 8 to 10 point guards in the game. He can command a pretty good dollar amount on the market. it would just be hard for me to see him going there. And look, I don't think they have to have. We had Coach Hill on the other day, and I think he made some great points. One thing that I don't agree with is I don't think they have to have a prototypical point guard. I think they have to have somebody who, yes, can handle the ball some, but first two priorities, you got to be able to defend the point guard position. There are too many dynamic point guards in the league today to not have a great point guard defender. The Westbrooks, obviously when Derrick Rose comes back, the Tony Parkers, of course, you face in the finals, the Steph Currys. I mean, there's just too many. Chris Paul. You have to play defense, and you have to be able to knock down shots. To me, if you do those things well, the passing and distribution part, that's a distant third to me as far as importance for a Miami Heat point guard. Now, the Pacers, the way they're built, they need a real point guard. They need somebody who can run the team and run the show, but I don't think Miami needs that as much.
Looking at Trevor Ariza's stats, 10 years. He's 10 years in the league. He's 28 years old. He's, like you said, won a championship. His last contract, 5 years, $33.9 million, an average of 6.5 a year, almost 7. $33 million guaranteed. This last year of his contract paid him 7.7. He's not going to get that anywhere else. So he's an unrestricted free agent. He can go wherever he'd like. It just is going to come down to, would he take less to go play, significantly less, probably half that, to go play for Miami in that Mario Chalmers salary range, $4 million at the most, or can they get Kyle Lowry to come in? And I think they would make a little bit more room for him, maybe $7 or $8 million a year,
right,
for a guy that probably could get 12 to 14 someplace else. So that's going to be an interesting summer discussion with the Miami Heat. Well, it's going to be within the next month or so that we'll decide. They'll decide what they're going to do. LeBron's going to take a family vacation. He's going to decide what he's going to do. The decision part.
I think they call this the latest decision. #
Are they?
The latest. And then I guess in a few years, he'll have one called the last decision, probably in a few years.
Yeah. Man, it's a marvel to me, LeBron and these guys. You think about it. These guys have been in the league 11 years.
Yeah.
You may not realize that, but LeBron, Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, these guys have been at Carmelo Anthony, have been in the league 11 years already. And we're talking about them still as top 10 to 20 players in the league, in the world. How long do they have left? How long can they still carry their teams? Can they be perennial stars? And the time obviously is they're on the back half of their career, whether you understand or realize it yet or not. So this is going to be an interesting next few years in the NBA, and I've always been a big NBA fan. So.
Yeah, and then of course, we're talking about Miami. Of course, people have their eyes on Houston. Houston's a team that looks like they want to make some type of a splash.
Yep.
If they
Kevin Love, where's he going?
Yeah, Kevin Love, obviously Minnesota. I don't care what they say, they need to look to move him. Boston with Rondo, maybe not so much, but they still need to keep their ear to the ground if somebody makes them an offer.
A lot of talk about Kevin Love to Boston.
Yeah, so. Kevin Love to Boston. Obviously, if they paired together, that would make Rondo want to stay. But, Houston and Carmelo is something I'm looking at. If they can get some people, if they can move around Chandler Parsons, Jeremy Lin, and Ashik, move that money around, I really think they're going to make a very hard play for Carmelo Anthony.
We'll see how that all shakes out. Carmelo's going to go get his money. And I wanted to say something about Kobe Bryant, but I won't take too much time saying it, about how, who was it? I guess it was Jurgen Klinsmann who made the point, the U.S. soccer coach, about why he didn't pick Landon Donovan was sort of the reason. Why would I reward him for what he's done in the past when I've got players who are better now? He didn't say it in those exact words. He said it's kind of like Kobe Bryant taking $50 million over 2 years for the Lakers. They're paying him for what he's done in the past, not what he can do in the future. And I totally agree with that. Kobe took exception, and I laughed at Kobe because I feel like that a lot of these players in the NBA, they're doing a good job right now of taking less than what the market would give them to have a chance to win. The Spurs did it. The Heat have done it. You go back in history, there are only a handful of people who really haven't. Kobe, I believe, is one of them, so I don't have any respect for him in any way whatsoever. But that's just a point that I thought was interesting.
Yeah, I know we got the music on. We have Charlie on, so I'll get this in as quick as I can. I think there's a difference between the business side of it and the salary cap side of it. The Lakers trying to say, well, we'll make that 50, with Kobe's box office ability, we'll make that back financially, the business world. I agree. The
but
50
you ain't gonna win.
Exactly. $50 million you paying Kobe over 2 years. Business-wise, yes, you will make a return on that investment, but the salary cap is not business. There's only so much you can spend, and that's where it's going to hurt you. So business-wise, the Laker organization, I think it was a great move for him to give him that and keep him happy, but the financial salary cap side of it, No good.
Not at all. I
No
mean,
good.
it's an Albert Pujols St. Louis Cardinals situation. You're in the back half of your career and you want $30 million a year. No, bye.
They put their foot down.
I would have done the same thing to Kobe Bryant, but then again, I wouldn't be employed very long either. We got Charlie Bowden from Plummerville Speedway coming in right after the break. Stay with us.
Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russellville. You know, we've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russellville and see us. We're at 1900 East Main, or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
If you didn't count on KARK4 today this morning,
here's what you missed.
Updated news,
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
developing stories,
There's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
and weather and traffic on the force.
Friday night, Saturday morning will bring us our next chance rain.
Every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
Making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on.
Count on KRK4 today.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
Welcome back into the Sports Blitz on a Wednesday. Martin Freeman, Weldon Braxton, Matty Lassiter in the Cogswell Motors studios, and we're joined now by our favorite guest, Mr. Charlie Bowden from the Plummerville Speedway, Super Speedway. I can't forget that super. It's a super speedway.
That's right.
Charlie, man, what's been going on out there at Plummerville?
Oh, dude, it is all about some hot summertime racing at the Plummerville Super Speedway. Ladies and gentlemen, 25 minutes east of Russellville, right down I-40 at exit 112. Come on Saturday nights, every Saturday night at 7:30. Come get your thrill at the Ville. We've had some good racing here lately. We've had their special classes in, and it just keeps getting better. We got some stuff coming up in the coming weeks that we are really excited about, stuff we have never had at the Speedway. This Saturday night, June the 21st, we got the Dale Morden Memorial Hobby Stock Race. This pays $1,000 to win. These cars usually run for about a third of that, and we're going to pay them $100 just to start. We have a saying, if you take the green, well, if they take the green, when the race starts, if that car's on the track, they get $100 just for starting, even if they blow up right there at the flag stand, $100.
Nice.
So we're excited to offer them this money at this race. This is an annual race, the Dale Morden Memorial. This race drew, I think there's 34 different cars last year from around Arkansas, and we're looking at least that many, if not more, this year. And it's a good showcase for the hobby stock class. We're excited about it. I hope everybody will come out this Saturday night, the 21st.
Well, we had some rain a couple weeks ago, and you were talking about how it didn't affect you guys out there. How is the racing and the quality of the racing, and how's it all been the last few weeks?
It has been great. Mother Nature has smiled on us. Now, some people didn't think so. Last Saturday night, it was raining at 5:30 at the track. Luckily, our track absorbs water, and that actually helped us. There was no dust issues, and it made the track what the racers call tacky, made the surface really moist and sticky, and it was great racing. The crowd loved it. Man, them cars were eating it up. We had a lot of visiting cars there, cars that had never ran there before, and it was fantastic. And it rained on us 2 weeks ago, too. But
Yeah.
as we like to say at Plummerville, rain's just track prep for us.
Well-
Everybody else rains out, it just settles our dust.
Well, Charlie, that it's interesting you bring that up. We're getting towards the later part of June. We're gonna get into July. That rain's
First
gonna
day
be,
of summer,
This
Saturday.
first day of summer, it's gonna be a little bit dry. I imagine
Yeah.
the dust is gonna be kicked up. What about the drivers in these dusty conditions we'll probably be seeing?
The dust doesn't affect the drivers. They just drive right through it. They're looking right over the nose of that car. And actually, we'll just throw a little bit more water on the track. We keep the water truck sitting there full of water. And, sometimes repeated laps, sometimes the track dries out of it. Now, they like it dry slick when it's really slick, and they have to sure enough be on their A game as driver skill. But for the crowd's sake, we like to keep the dust down. So the dust doesn't affect the drivers. Obviously, it would affect the crowd. We just keep watering the track. If we have to, we'll pause the show and put out some moisture.
Nice. All right, so that you've given us a little bit of a recap of what's been going on the last couple weeks. Before we get to what's going on in the next couple weeks, update us on. You had some drama last time. Update us on not only that, but this sort of the standings where folks from around this area stand, because we've got some local drivers who
Yes, we do.
take part in the Plummerville Super Speedway.
Our drama, thankfully, has laid down. Got rid of some troublemakers, and me and the boss haven't strangled each other, though we came close to it the other day. But our point standings, sad to say, like Dustin Bell, Russellville boy, he has dropped out. Dustin was working so hard, running second place in points, and his motor just won't cooperate with him. And he told me, he said it just wasn't fun right now, so he has dropped out. Marlon Shehorn, a local modified driver from here in Russellville, he's raced for years. He started coming to race at the track. He'll slowly creep up in the standings. In the modified division, that's the wide open modifieds, and they are wide open. Just any motor they can get in there, and whatever they can do to that car, they can do it. Jerry Harris is currently leading that class. However, Chuck McGinney is steadily picking away at him. Chuck keeps knocking off first place, and Jerry can't quite pull off the first. And Chuck's creeping up on him in the points. I'm trying to think of some of the more local drivers from actually right here in Pope County, and that's escaping me right now. Our other point races are good. Hobby stock. That is all Conway County right there. Mitchell Moreau is leading that division. Tate Elkins is about 10 points behind him. Preston Freeman is about 30 points behind Tate. And those are all Morrilton boys. And they are swapping some paint, and it's going to get more intense. I know Weldon's going to love this. There was a time that Mitchell Moreau and Tate Elkins were teammates. They no longer pit together.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
The rivalry has come up. Matter of fact, I believe Tate helped Mitchell get started, and now Mitchell has kind of surpassed.
Uh-oh.
And Tate, he will swap some paint. If he has to swap some paint to get to the front in that red Camaro, that doesn't bother him.
Now, you mentioned teammates. That's interesting to me. I think a lot of us race fans, we know teammates in terms of, on the NASCAR circuit, the engine,
big corporate teams.
Yeah, the engine packages, they share a lot of the engineers, and the engines are obviously the same, and a lot of the setups are similar. How does that work here on the smaller series, the dirt track circuit?
Okay,
How
well,
the teammates?
It's more like, buddies building cars together, helping each other out. They probably, maybe share a shop or swap motors, just be like buddies building cars and helping each other. Some like Dallas Everett, who comes often in our modified, his father-in-law to be is Bill Fry, a man who races for a living. Bill comes and races some. Obviously, they race out of the same shop. They share cars, motors, trailers, whatever it takes. I'm trying to think of some of the other pairings. We have father and son teams that race at the Speedway. But when I say team, it's not a corporate deal. They're not swapping lots of money. Just buddies helping each other out. Such as Robert Myers and Lee Bratton here in Russellville. They've been buddies all their lives, and if you see one of them cars pull in, the other one's going to be there shortly. That's
Nice.
the way local racing does. It's a brotherhood spirit.
You got anything? Because I just wanted to ask about the upcoming events coming up. We got to hit a break here in a minute. But what do we have coming up in the next couple of weeks to get folks out there?
Next Saturday night, June 28th, for the ladies, we'll run our regular classic, but we have powder puff races. Let the ladies get in the cars and go at it. Now, one of the best races I ever saw at that track was a powder puff race. The ladies know what they're doing. July 12th and 26th, the return of the Southern Outlaw Late Model Series. Man, I love late models at our track. They are a special kind of race car. We got them twice in July, 12th and 26th. Also, first time, this is history now. The track's been there since 91. For the first time ever, we will have the 360 wing sprint cars. Probably the 19th of July. We actually had them on the schedule for next weekend. We had to swap it because of a big race at Riverside Speedway in West Memphis. They had to reschedule their classic, and we didn't want to interfere.
Right.
So we've moved ours tentatively to June the 19th. Wing 360 sprint cars, first time ever at the Plummerville Super Speedway.
Sweet. All right. Well, how can folks get a hold of get out to the Speedway? What do they have? Hey, you can come out there and watch some racing, but you can also get. I want to go out there just to eat.
Yes.
I don't like racing.
Fried
but
bologna, bring baby doll, put her in the powder puff race. Yeah.
Oh my God, my wife's driving. No, thank you.
Slushies, man, all kinds of food, Polish sausages, chicken baskets, cheese sticks, onion rings.
Better get out there,
All
boy.
right. All right.
And you can reach us. You can find us online at www.plummervillesuperspeedway.com. Also, check out our Facebook page. And, of course, I don't have the phone number with me. Obviously, I never do. But we are at exit 112 off I-40. You turn right onto Highway 64, left on 64. We're just about a mile and a half east of the town of Plummerville every Saturday night at 7:30.
Hey, if you're interested in racing, there's another option for you. You don't just have to go out to Centerville. You can come out to Plummerville. You can check out the racing there at the Plummerville Super Speedway. We appreciate Charlie being with us every week to talk with us a little bit about the Plummerville Super Speedway.
I'm glad to be here.
And we hope that you guys will have your fun time this weekend. Go out there, watch some racing, eat some good food, and just have a good old time on Saturday night. That's Charlie Bowden, Plummerville Super Speedway. We'll be back right after this with a whole lot more.
Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russellville. You know, we've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russellville and see us. We're at 1900 East Main, or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
If you didn't count on KARK4 today this morning,
Here's what you missed.
updated news,
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
developing stories,
It's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
and weather and traffic on the 4s.
Friday night, Saturday morning will bring us our next chance of rain.
Every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
Making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on.
Count on KRK4 today.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
All right, final segment of the Sports Blitz Wednesday. Martin Freeman, Weldon Braxton, Matty Lassiter in the Cogswell Motors studios. Got a lot left to hit. A little bit of wire-related stuff right now. College World Series last night. The team that knocked Arkansas out in the regional final, the Virginia Cavaliers. They've gone on to the College World Series, got a win. They're now 2-0 in the College World Series. They beat TCU in 15 innings last night. Speaking of baseball, Tanaka from the Yankees wins his league-leading 11th game last night, had 10 strikeouts against Toronto. It looks like they're paying all that money, the exorbitant amounts of money to Japan and all these places to get to be able to talk to these guys is paying off for teams like the Yankees. It's a little bit better than it did for the Red Sox with Daisuke,
yeah.
But it's paying off for Yu Darvish and for Tanaka in the major leagues with these guys.
Yeah, a lot of these guys, baseball is the master sport when it comes to splash in the pans. I'm not saying Tanaka is a splash in the pan, but come back a year from me now and show me what his numbers. A lot of these times, these pitchers especially, they'll come in, you've never seen their stuff before, they get you off balance. A year from now, they're getting knocked around like a beach ball.
I was going to say, at least a couple times the teams see them,
right,
and then they come back around. It's like a couple times through the lineup before they get to you, but a couple times of facing your pitch, and they kind of figure you out, and things will change a little bit. But it is pretty impressive that he's winning 11 games early on. Yeah, right now he'd have to be one of the favorites, if not the favorite to win. The big topic of the day, the Redskins patent has been canceled. So the Washington Redskins, they no longer have patent protection for their mascot name, for their team name, the Redskins, the Washington Redskins. That is going to cost them, probably it's going to cost them some money in the long run. They won't have the rights to that name, so they can't really do anything when people use it.
That's right.
Print me some. A lot of folks are talking about how that's going to cost them enough money that they're going to feel pressured to change the name. I think that's kind of a brilliant move on the part of those who want them to get rid of that name, to sort of push for that cancellation so that they stand to lose a whole lot of money.
I agree. I mean, certainly when you look at the movement to address this, they first went to the NFL, hey, please make them stop, please make them stop. That didn't work. So obviously we know the wallet is a good place to hit somebody. And, of course, a good part of that is the U.S. Patent Office. You lift that patent and it's no longer protected. You and I are going to get our Redskin screen prints and we're going to work. Come to 1509 East Main and get you a Redskin printed T-shirt.
No.
Hey, we're legal now. We're because anybody can do it. Look, it's one of those things where the NFL, I don't want to say they've been arrogant, but they haven't listened in terms of really being willing to say, okay, we're going to do something about it. And so the people on the other side of the issue said, look, we're going to get creative with it. What this will lead to, I don't know. The revenue is shared, so it's not like the Redskins themselves are going to be too damaged. The league as a whole have that, it'll be 31 teams sharing trademarks and revenue, but so I don't know how much you're going to hurt them, but the league does not want that, and I think you do have their attention now.
We'll stay in the NFL. Ryan Fitzpatrick named the starting quarterback going into camp for the Houston Texans. That's kind of a shot in the hearts of Razorback fans who wanted Ryan Mallett to go to the Houston Texans because they didn't draft Johnny Manziel. They didn't draft a great quarterback to sort of take the reins immediately. Ryan Fitzpatrick is the guy.
It's a shot in the arm to Andre Johnson too.
Hey Andre, why don't you just stay away forever? Because this is what we think about. We got Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's going to save the day. Also, what do you think about Jimmy Graham declaring that he's a wide receiver because he lines up 67% of the time outside of the tight end role? This is funny, man. They're in arbitration right now, and the Saints, part of the Saints' defense against Jimmy Graham saying that he's a wide receiver is that his Twitter profile says he's a tight end. Wow.
It's kind of a funny situation. It kind of makes you step back, at least makes me step back and kind of look at the evolution of football in a humorous way. And this is just another change. You're going to have to address this in the rules. There was a time where a guy's a tight end, he's a tight end. He lines up in line, he blocks, he catches some, that's what he does. Obviously, that's not where the game is now. The tight ends are more multiple. So, yes, you're going to have to, in the future, write some language to express this specifically. I think Jimmy Graham has a case now because of the numbers he has, but again, there's no real language to define this. But in the future, the league's gonna have to say, if you line up, here you're receiver X% of the time. It's a simple fix. That's why I kind of chuckle at it because it's something that you wouldn't even think would even have to have a decade, 20 years ago. But now it's necessary with these versatile tight ends.
Well, to me, I can see it both sides. You sign a contract, you live up to that contract. But we were just looking at numbers. Somebody just sent me a message about how long each sport's career is, and the average career is just not that long. So if you're a wide receiver making $10 million a year and a tight end making, a very low salary comparatively speaking to that, you've got to get what you can while you can. And if you're Jimmy Graham being lined up at wide receiver all the time instead of tight end, and you're making all these catches, you're making all these yards and touchdowns, and you're not making the money you feel like you deserve, the next contract, he's not going to re-sign with the New Orleans Saints if they hose him on this one. There's just no way.
Yeah.
He's going to get the money that he thinks he's worth. So at the end of the day, if a team says you're an offensive lineman, then plays you at defensive tackle, if they draft you at cornerback and then they play you at wide receiver, it's a different position, tight end to wide receiver. He's out lined up wide a lot more often. I think they should sort of pay him what he's worth. Of course, they don't want to because they've already got him in that contract that was fair. They didn't negotiate it in any sort of bad faith. So I can see it from both sides.
Yeah, I mean, and the tag number it's a huge difference for New Orleans. I mean, obviously it's a 1-year deal with the franchise tag, but it's so huge against their cap, though, the difference between paying a tight end and a receiver, to where it really puts them in a bad position for this upcoming year. It'd be nice if they could have came to some sort of a contract agreement long term that would satisfy each side of it. Obviously, if you're the Saints, the franchise tag is a bad deal for your 2014 cap number. It's going to be a huge number, but again, you don't want to lock in long term, for certain reasons, to a contract that's bad for 4 to 5 years. So it's interesting. I just think for future reference, though, we've got to have some language to define these positions. I know it's new. We haven't seen it before, but that's where the game is at. And
finally, we're going to look at Razorbacks. We were off for just a few minutes, so we're going a couple minutes over. For those of you who are watching the replay, you won't even know any difference. It's going to be about an hour just like normal, but for those watching on the line, we're going a little over. Arkansas is running back you, according to ESPN's college football blog. They went through the offense. They're going through the defense now to name position by position which school put out the best of college athletes, had the best at each position. Quarterbacks had Oklahoma, running backs obviously Arkansas, wide receivers USC, tight ends Miami, offensive line Alabama. I found it interesting, and actually I heard this on Bo Mattingly's show yesterday. I want to give credit where it's due about Brett Bielema being listed with running backs, obviously at Wisconsin also. Now he's at Arkansas, running back U, and then also tight ends and offensive linemen at Wisconsin, and it speaks to his ability to develop players and find good players at those positions. What do you think about Brett Bielema? What do you think about Arkansas being running back U?
Well, first of all, you made a point, and I'll give you credit in the pre-show meeting, that we do have to note this is not about how your players succeed in the NFL, how much success. You said it was Oklahoma people talking, right, about
Peterson, I think so.
And Murray.
Peterson and DeMarco Murray.
they had to find one to talk. We're taking quarterback you. Jason White, did he light it up? And Sam Bradford, he's the best you've had, and he still hadn't been that good. Josh Heupel, what did he do? He's a coordinator now. So, they really need to quit with that kind of talk. But as far as Brett Bielema is concerned, look, this is why you brought him to Arkansas. I know the honeymoon ended kind of quickly and Bielema got on people's bad side, but you look at why you brought him in. You brought him in because he had success doing more with less in terms of not having the 4- and 5-star players. And I think we agree. I don't know if there's a coach in the country, especially a coach that you could get to come here, that can recruit at a 4- to 5-star level. Therefore, you need a coach who can do more with less. That's why he was attractive to Arkansas in the first place. That hasn't changed. You have to feel confident about it. The stable of running backs, you just look at after Bobby Petrino left, where the running back situation was. Then you're able to go pick up an Alex Collins. Jonathan Williams, he's in the fold. He's getting better. Corliss Marshall. Now all of a sudden it's completely flipped. Running back situation looks good. That offensive line is going to be deep. I think they're going to be talented over the next few years. It's looking good from that standpoint.
Going back to the 90s, you can go all the way back to Madre Hill and Chris Chikuma. And some great running backs out of Arkansas. Now, this is from 2000 to current. So you've got guys like Fred Talley, who was in the fold at that point, and I loved Fred Talley, man. I was a big Fred Talley fan. Cedric Cobbs.
Yeah.
Then you've got into guys like Darren McFadden and Peyton Hillis and Felix Jones, who are 3 top NFL running backs on the same team in college. So that's really what won it for Arkansas, that you've got those three that were on the same team. Then you, like you said, you move on to guys like Niall Davis, who's an NFL player, and I think he's gonna make an impact at some point and keep Arkansas in the mix there. And then the three that they've got right now, very good players who are going to be, I think, really, really good college players for the long haul. And you've got each one of them for at least 2 more years. So that's a really, really cool thing for the University of Arkansas. Don't have a huge problem with any of these. Quarterbacks, Oklahoma, okay, I can see that. Offensive line at Alabama, yep. Tight ends at Miami, okay. Arkansas has a claim to that one a little bit, with the Mackey Award winner DJ Williams, and then down to Chris Gregg. That's 2 guys who are really, really good, but Miami, you can't argue with the recruiting they did. Say what? Sprinkle and Henry's going to be really, really good. I can't wait to break down Razorback football coming up in the next couple months. We've been purposely saving this so that we had something to talk about during the lean summer months, but we're going to have a whole lot of Razorback football talk. Just thought it was interesting that they put Arkansas in position U at running back, which is probably, I know quarterback is huge and glamorous, but the running back position, you look at the ESPN picture, Darren McFadden's right in the middle. He is the big centerpiece of this conversation, and I think that's kind of cool.
I think so, too, and obviously we always look at the recruiting side of it. I know Arkansas has always got really good running backs anyway, but, now you may get even better running backs.
We're running back you.
Yeah, running back you now. That's a big thing. You'll see that on posters along with, hashtag 1-0 and be uncommon and all that good stuff.
You will.
You'll see that too.
Oh, you will. And I've seen that Brett Bielema is already on one of the top running backs, a 5-star guy. I think he's out of Texas right now. He's getting a visit from him, so that's going to be big. Arkansas running back you. We'll see if that turns into success on the field. That's going to be the test right there. If Arkansas can come back from what was a rough year last year, I believe that they're going to be better this year. It's hard to be worse. So we'll see what Arkansas can do in the coming year. We've run out of time. We hit a lot of stuff today. We appreciate you joining us. And I'm not going to be here Friday. Weldon's going to carry the show like he does usually. And maybe Maddie will turn on a microphone and voice of God it for us and just talk. So we'll see how the show goes on Friday. So appreciate you joining us today. Thanks to Charlie Bowden from the Plumerville Super Speedway. For Weldon and Maddie, I'm Mark saying so long. They'll see you on Friday at 11.